I saw, and I don't know if anybody else saw it, it's in my stories today, but I saw a post from a bigger account, and it said that, what did it say? Fresh produce is not healthier than frozen or canned. And I swear to God, you could have seen the explosion. Gang, welcome to Wednesday. I cannot believe it's Wednesday already. It has been quite a week. Yeah, it has been. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you read the title of these, you'll see that Tammy was yet again triggered by Instagram. This is why I have multiple days throughout the week where I am blacked out on Instagram and why I'm hardly ever on there. I saw, and I don't know if anybody else saw it, it's in my stories today, but I saw a post from a bigger account, and it said that, what did it say? Fresh produce is not healthier than frozen or canned. And I swear to God, you could have seen the explosion. They quote dietitians in this article about how dietitians are saying, that it's okay to eat canned and frozen and all of that. Yes, 100%. It is okay to eat frozen vegetables. It is okay to eat canned vegetables. Absolutely. Are you signing your death certificate by doing so? No, you are not. But the statement, fresh produce is not healthier than frozen or canned, got me a little worked up. So I'm drinking tea today just to dial it down a little bit because I'm feeling a little hot about this. That's the Pitta, that's the Virgo, that's the fiery nature of Tammy. So we're going to try and cool it down. So this is not helpful to you guys. What is going to be helpful is understanding exactly what you should be looking for, right? So what should you be looking for when you're thinking, I'm going to add vegetables? Now, you hear me all the time, eat seasonal, eat what's in season, but then at the same time, I say things like, make sure that you're eating 5 to 7 servings of fruits and veggies, and make sure that you're, doing all this with plant foods. So what is a girl to do when it is 30 degrees outside and everything is underneath 7 inches of ice and it's cold and there is nothing fresh and there is nothing local right now? This is the perfect time to either think about what it is that you're eating, right? Like eating plant foods doesn't always mean salads and things like that, okay? Some foods still do grow locally and during the colder seasons, right? Greenhouses are a wonderful thing. They're not always accessible. So yes, absolutely. We can plan to supplement with some frozen foods. We can plan to supplement with either some dried beans or some canned beans if you don't have 4 hours to deal with making dried beans. Absolutely, not a problem. But okay, let's think about mindfulness and being intentional when you are thinking about what you're going to make and when you're actually going through the steps. Now, if it was as simple as some kind of clinical nutrition calculation, right? If we could just have this mathematical equation that if we eat X plus Y, then we always have health. First of all, I wouldn't have a job. Second of all, it wouldn't be so hard, right? It would not be so hard. Nobody would be suffering. No one would be having symptoms of anything. But unfortunately, it's not that simple. It's not that easy because every single person has their own unique needs, okay? we're thinking about gut health. We're thinking about hormone balance. We're thinking about aging and being as healthy as possible for as long as possible. As women, we're thinking about fertility, if that's our time. We're thinking about PMS and PMDD and a PCOS, all of the P's. We're thinking about these things, right? So it's not as simple as just eat this equation. So what do I mean? I mean that we have to consider the energy that we're putting into our food. If food is the last thing we're thinking about at the end of the day, of course we're having hormone imbalance. Of course we're having poor gut health, okay? Try to think of your meal prep as the intention for wellness. Try to think about meal planning as supporting your body, not just some equation to lose weight or to fit into the ideal of some kind of perfect version or to make yourself very small, right? What if you're thinking about your food as the intention to nourish your body, which means you set aside a little bit of time for prep. You are intentional about where and what you buy. You're taking the time to really put the effort and the love and the attention into planning these meals. It can be freaking Kraft macaroni and cheese in the blue goddamn box with that bright orange powder, by the way. I do like that one. It can be that. If you're doing it with intention, if you're putting effort into that, and you're really present with that blue box of macaroni and cheese, then that can be considered a health food, okay? I mean, try it, right? When you're really stressed out, have a box of macaroni and cheese. See what your GI symptoms are. And then versus a Sunday afternoon where maybe you're in the kitchen with the kids and you're having fun putting it together and they're part of the process. And, you're taking the time, you're putting a little bit of intention. Maybe you're even saying a little grace or being graceful over the meal as you're preparing it. See how your gut symptoms are then, okay? It's not just an equation. It's not just put this combination of food on a plate, scarf it down, and be done with it. It's about where this food is coming from and what you're doing. So let's get back to that article. Okay, so is frozen food healthy? Absolutely, absolutely. Know what you're getting, okay? I want you to read your labels, see what's in it, make sure there's not all kinds of extra stuff in there like sugar or salt or those kinds of things that they like to put in there, preservatives for whatever reason. I don't know why they would do that. But just make sure what's in there is what you're getting, okay? And use it when you can't or don't have access to the other stuff, because the way it tastes is definitely going to be different. How it shows up on your meal, how it shows up in your experience is going to be different, okay? So I know that broccoli from my garden that I have steamed or that I have roasted tastes so much better than the broccoli that comes from a frozen steamer bag. Do I use frozen steamer bags? Absolutely. Am I enjoying that as much? No, I'm eating it because I know that I need to eat the veggie and that's what I have. And it's, I didn't have time or I didn't invest the time in doing the fresh broccoli, right? So look at how it's showing up. Make your choices wisely. Read the label. Now, canned is much better, and actually you can get it in jars. You can get them in the safe cans, that have the lining in the can so that you don't get that heavy metal leaching in. I like the jarred version of things when you can get it. So take a look at your ingredients, decide how you're going to use it, and then use it with intention, okay? It can be more helpful if you're doing it with intention, regardless of what it is, okay? So let's look at the whole picture here. Fresh first when you have the time. I would love for you to set aside, 30 minutes, an hour of your day. Let that be, let that be a sacred time. And I don't mean sacred in, like worship or organized religion. I just mean time that you're setting aside for you and your family, if you're feeding your family, to make intentional choices around your food. If you have the space, if you have the money, absolutely go ahead and get it locally. Now, that's not always, groceries are kind of expensive. I have noticed, though, that it's still cheaper to buy local produce. Now, mind you, my disclaimer is I'm shopping for 2 people, not a whole family at this point, but it is cheaper for me to buy the more local things and to buy the fresh things that are in season than it would be for me to get like enough frozen veggie to, satisfy. So think of those things as you're planning. It's always something, you guys. It's probably my warranty is expired. Okay, so think of that. Then next is it adding value to your meal, right? Is it adding to the experience in a way that you are enjoying that meal, that you're coming to it, really looking forward to that meal? Are you, is it just adding value, right? If it's a mushy canned peas, for example, I haven't had canned peas in a while, but I imagine they're still mushy. If it's mushy canned peas, are you going to enjoy that? Is it going to be something you look forward to, or is it just checking a box? When you check a box, that shows up in how you digest. That shows up in how you assimilate the food. That shows up in how your body deals with those nutrients, right? That may or may not be there. Okay. So just consider that food is not just the equation. And when it comes time to planning your meals, do it with intention. If doing it with intention means that you absolutely need to use frozen, because I'm a fan of using frozen when you need it. But do not be disillusioned that it is the exact same thing as doing fresh or local, as much as possible. Okay. So what is it that your goal is? If you've worked with me before, you know that whenever you ask me a question, my answer is always, it depends. What's your goal, right? So what is your goal? Is your goal to get as many servings of veggies in a day as cheaply as possible? 100%. Stock up. Get all the frozen food, get all the frozen veggies that you can, okay? If your goal is to be intentional and to reduce your stress around meal times and to be more mindful and to be more present at your meal and to enjoy your food and improve your relationship with food and how it shows up in your body, then there's probably some blend there, right? There's probably some frozen, there's probably some fresh, there's probably some mix, and it probably changes from day to day, whatever your schedule might be. So beware of things that we're seeing out there in the media. Beware of these sweeping statements, even when they are quoting professionals, okay? We're not perfect. We're not infallible. I have made some questionable proclamations over my 20 years in this field, right? So there are times when you really have to critically think your way through these things, okay? To that end, I want you to think about where we are right now and what's going to make each meal experience the most enjoyable for you. What's going to make it the most nutritious in not only body, but also in spirit, also in experience. And I want you to plan one day, right? Or one meal in that, kind of mindset, right? How can I be mindful in one meal today? How can I not show up to my coffee, which we know that I skipped the coffee today, but how can I not show up to that in, this like very pitta angry rage, right? Like, how can I not do that? Well, first of all, I'm going to not have the coffee, and then I'm going to take a breath, and I'm going to remember that we don't always have to get triggered when we look at Instagram. Just as an example. All right, my friends. So if you are trying to increase your fruits and veggies. And realistically speaking, fresh and local is not available to you, then unconditionally give yourself permission to enjoy the frozen, to enjoy the canned. But know that there's probably a difference in if and when you can have those fresh, that you're being intentional about that. Okay. The whole point is to just not get into a rut. It's not to believe something unconditionally, and it's to be mindful about what your need is in the moment and or in the season during this time, and to use that. Okay. So if you have questions about this, let's discuss. I'm happy to discuss it. I went longer today than I wanted to. I think, I don't even know. Where are we? Oh, 15 minutes. Okay, so not too bad. We can discuss. And now it's March, it's a new month. This month, I am going to be doing a spring cleanup. So I think it's the last week of March. I don't know the dates exactly. Whatever that last week of March is, I'm going to be doing a 5-day spring cleanup. And it's a cleanse of sorts without being like very cleansy. We're just going to clean up things and feel a little bit better. I'm doing 5 days of it. You know, I'm doing each day live for that, but you know, you can do that for 28 days. I'll show you guys how that works, or you could do it for 2 weeks or whatever you want. It's not restrictive. It's not a, you know, let's not eat fruits and, you know, let's not eat things. It's not definitely a cleanse like that. But we are going to clean up. We are going to think about spring foods and how to start increasing the foods that nourish us in the spring. So that's coming up this month, along with our regular Wellness Wednesdays and everything else that we have going on. So if you have questions about anything I talked about here today, please let me know. If you have questions about the membership, you know that you can ask those as well. Or if you have questions about what's coming up, just wait. I'll be posting it and I'll let you know. So that's it. I am going to go and probably walk the dog. I will see you guys next week. Have a fabulous rest of your day and a fabulous rest of your week. See you soon.